She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties. And now it's time for Down the Rabbit Hole with Molly.
If he's keeping space aliens from this, fucking kudos, Hank Green. Kudos.
I don't know what you heard about me,
but bitches can't get $1 out of me.
Well, we'll let you guys know if fame changes us. So, like and subscribe, whatever.
What is the thing the kids do? Click the link down below.
Mommy needs like a 10-minute unsubscription.
Pee-pee.
Hey.
Hi, you.
So it's been a little bit longer than we normally go without seeing each other because...
homeschooling. That's why.
And I had to finish a damn book and go camping at the same time.
To be clear, neither of us were prepared.
It's a good point.
Besties, we tried to record on the weekends because that's when April is off. And right. By Friday evening, neither of us had finished the book for a Saturday/Sunday recording.
And to be very more specific, I still had 163 pages left.
Bro, same.
Same. Yeah, but I went camping.
That's fun. The pictures were great. I mean...
Yeah.
We had a good time.
We did. We did have a good time. We always do when we go with the Cub Scouts. Mm-hmm. So I have to tell you this funny story.
Oh,
I have a student who accidentally found out that we have a podcast when he asked me, "What are you reading?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm reading this book, The Graveyard Book, for my podcast." And then I went internally, damn it. So he's made it his mission to try to figure out what my podcast is. And I straight up told him, I was like, when he said, "Oh, you have a podcast?" I was like, No, I don't.
I feel like if he would have Googled your name and podcast, it should come up.
Well, I would think so too, but...
You know what? I'm going to do it right now.
He said he couldn't find it, which I was like, I don't want you to find it. And he's like, I don't understand why you don't want me to find it. And I was like, because I'm not...
There is another podcaster named April that does a royalty podcast.
Oh gosh, well that's not me. But I do love the royal family. But anyway, no, I said, well, I'm not Miss fill in my last name here. I'm not that person. I'm myself. I'm April, and so I don't want you to find it because this is not the persona of the teacher.
This isn't school librarian. This is me.
Right.
Outside of school. I mean, that makes sense.
Right. I mean, the language that we're using on here, I mean, it's the way I talk. Like, I say fuck a lot, and that's okay.
Well, same.
But it's not okay, for your students my students to find it. So anyway, that's been an interesting thing. I just keep thinking about, like, that 50 Cent song, "I don't know what you heard about me." Like, that's how I feel. Yeah.
But bitches can't get $1 out of me. Yes.
So what's going on in Molly world?
We had to go over lab safety again with Piper Addison, my scientist.
Is she blowing shit up?
She burnt herself pretty good.
Oh, no. Piper. Is she okay?
She's fine. Her ego's hurt. We had to get some aloe on it. But she forgot heat rises. And she's holding a match. That the science experiment was put a match in alcohol, put a match in water. I left her with Matt, and Matt watched her strike it, and next thing I know, I just hear screaming and crying, and I come downstairs, and Matt goes, "I really didn't think you were going to do that."
So what I heard is Dad can't be in charge of science experiments anymore.
It's not that Dad can't be in charge. It's Dad should have went over safety protocols to make sure Piper was aware of all the situation.
Right. When I was in high school, AP Chem, my other best friend Dawn dropped hydrochloric acid on herself and went, "Oh no," and sat down. And I was like, "Girl, get to the shower. What are you doing?"
Oh no. Oh, Dawn.
And she was like, "Oh no," and sat down. I was like, "No, you on you.
Bruh. Oh, oh my God. It's been
Lab
a week.
safety.
To say it's been a week is an understatement, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
They're off getting pumpkins now. We're going to carve later. I've tried to convince the girls that to do the TikTok thing where they carve with a pressure washer. Matt told me no.
I don't know what that is.
It's just this trend where they draw a stencil of like what they want to carve.
Molly, and then you're giving away trade secrets if we're carving pumpkins, but it's November when our listeners are listening to this.
That's true. That's true. I just like yeeting pumpkins onto oncoming traffic.
Well, by the time that this episode airs, we will potentially have hit 1,000 streams. I think we're very close right now. And so I'm optimistic that when this episode airs, which will be November 2nd, if you're listening, it's very meta because, it is November 2nd today.
Like, we're in the time loop, man.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So
in the time loop.
We're really close to 1,000 streams, and I think we're going to hit it. But let's talk about what we're talking about today.
Oh, so yeah, that's a good idea. Hey, we're covering a book, guys.
Yeah. In case you forgot what this podcast was about. So we just did 2 months back-to-back of, like, special reads. So in September, we did banned books, and I hosted all those. And then in October, we did spooky reads, and Molly hosted all of those.
Thank God I'm done.
And honestly, side note, before we went to film this, I was like, I forgot how to host. I haven't done it in a long time.
You got this. I have faith in you.
So we are back to alternating hosts every week, and the hostess is the one who picked the book, although
is the one with the mostest.
Yeah, sometimes it's a book that we both have already read and enjoyed. But anyway, all of that is to say
new to me.
All of that is to say, yes, this week is new to you. All of that is to say that this week we are reading An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Look at that cover. If you are
my identical twin in
YouTube.
Chaotic
and
Neutrals.
Look what April did.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, April went tab happy.
All right, besties, go get a cup of coffee. This is going
So I am a former English teacher, and I love annotating books, but I don't always write in my books, so I got these tabs, and then, like, I told Tom how much I spent on the tabs. It was, like, a huge pack of tabs on Amazon for, like, $10, but he was like, okay, mathematically, you're going to lose money on the pod if you tab all your books. I was like, okay, fair enough. I was like, I'm not going to tab the ones from the library because it's just a waste of my time. But anyway.
Because we got pulled off.
Yeah, true. All right, so we are reading An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is his first novel. And I'm going to go ahead and give a synopsis if that's okay.
Sounds good to me. Let's rock and roll.
All right, so 23-year-old April May, which is the worst name ever published. Hate it. All right.
Serious. Wait, let me get it closer. Fuck. Hey, the name. You know better.
I hate the name. All right, sorry. Okay. 23-year-old April May stumbles across an interesting structure in New York City on her way home from work at 3 a.m. Thinking the structure is an interesting art installation, she calls her best friend, Andy Scamp, to come film a bit with her. The bit becomes a viral sensation as it is revealed that this art piece, quote unquote, is actually found in every major city in the world. The Carls, as they come to be known, based on the name April gives them in her first video, turn out to be so much more than art. They're alien life forms on our planet. With the help of material scientist Miranda, April uncovers the truth that Carl wants 3 elements from humanity: iodine, americium, and uranium. When April, Andy, and Miranda, and April's newly hired assistant, Robin, present Hollywood Carl with 2 of those elements, things get really weird. Carl's hand falls off and runs through Hollywood and into the Magic Castle, where they let it in because that isn't even the weirdest thing they've seen there. This process also starts the quote-unquote dream, which is the first ever dream spread through contact. The dream turns out to be a series of puzzles that lead up to the ultimate clue to what Carl wants. To decode the clues, April enlists the help of her now ex-girlfriend and ex-roommate Maya, Miranda, Andy, and Robin to help create the Psalm, a place where dreamers can work together to solve the sequences within the dream. Although April's motives seem pure, she has actually taken on a persona of her and Andy's own design. April May becomes a celebrity influencer and political pundit, growing an audience of believers that the Carls do not want to harm us. On the opposing side is Peter Petchwicki, or PP, who creates the Defenders movement. The Defenders are essentially right-leaning xenophobes who spread fear and hate regarding the Carls. The two opposing sides face off in a debate that rakes in lots of money for April's agent, Jennifer Putnam, who also happens to be representing PP without April knowing. PP's rants eventually lead to 2 attempts on April's life, one a shooting in her apartment, and 2 a stabbing in the street. When both of these fail, his followers become more desperate. After successfully cracking the final key that only April was supposed to have access to, the Defenders hack the decoder Miranda created in the Psalm, which leads April to a building where they trap her inside and set the place on fire. In the end, April is no longer a person of her own. She belongs to the world. Her fame has become so gross that even she hates herself.
Bro, same.
All right, so that was a really long synopsis, and probably maybe I gave away too many details before we actually got to discuss it. Was that terrible?
I loved it.
Should we re-record that?
No, it's good. I love it.
All right, so I kind of went down like a crazy so this is my 3rd time reading this book. The first time I read it was when it first came out. I'm a huge Vlog Brothers. 2018 maybe. 2019?
Really?
Something like that. Hang on, let me look because now I forget. 2019. No,
2019.
2018 was the first printing, and then the paperback was 2019. I have the paperback version. I also own the ebook version. So it came out in 2018, and I think it was like October or something like that it came out. And I read it when it first came out. I'm a huge fan of the Vlog Brothers, John Green.
Sorry. Trying to look at something and it started playing. I'm sorry. Keep going.
John Green is like a hero of mine, and so I follow the Vlog Brothers, and I was very excited to read Hank's book because this is his first time publishing a book. My first reading of the book, I was looking through Goodreads, and I only gave it 3 stars the first time I read it.
Really?
And I still stand by that rating based on the reasons that I had for it, but when the second book came out, I went ahead and got the second book and also had read it, but when I started it, I had that moment that I was like, I forgot everything that happened. So I had to go back and read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing again.
I kind of like when a book does that. When it escapes my mind and I get to reread it.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you a fresh perspective.
So this was my 3rd time reading this, and I enjoyed it more this time, probably because I knew where it was going. So this is the sequel, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, which, by the way, he named his character terribly, but both of these books have fantastic names. So because I know how A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor ends, I feel like I liked An Absolutely Remarkable Thing more.
Okay.
So, should we get into our questions?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So, this is Hank Green's first novel. I know you love Hank Green.
I love Hank.
So, you're a fan of his TikTok videos. Even when they're super weird, you send them to me. So, I guess my first
Don't shame the birds, April.
I'm sorry. So, I guess my first big question is, did you like the book?
I did. I have a few complaints.
Mm-hmm.
I can see his writing process in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I can see where the editor stepped in.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where the editor stepped back.
Yeah.
The one thing I have a major issue with is her name. And I feel like as a writer, yes, as a writer, I'm ringing my bell too, but I want to finish my thought bubble. April May is a filler name. So when you don't know what to name a character and you're developing this character and you're writing and you're building it, you eventually go, oh, her name should be X, Y, and Z because of this, this, and this. And you go back and you change the character's name. He just forgot to do that. Like, that's what that feels like here. It feels like he was like, I'm going to use April May as a filler name, and he forgot. Yeah. And, but you could definitely tell he is a new writer.
Mm-hmm. I could tell that too.
It tastes like first time writing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
You also get a sense of his chaos.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got that, right? I just don't know how he contained it long enough to write a full book. Well, that's what I don't comprehend.
I think he poured that chaos into April.
Right.
And she becomes that chaos.
But like to finish a book as an ADHD chaotic neutral, like this, like we're a little freaking ball of like energy, but we lose focus really easily, and it's hard for us to stay on track to finish something. So for him to just complete this is amazing.
Well, and he has so many side projects because, besides Vlog Brothers, he and John run a podcast together.
Right.
He runs,
which we'd love to be on. Call us, guys.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. He, co-founded Don't Forget to Be Awesome with his brother John. He also runs SciShow and Crash Course.
Right.
And the back of the novel gives a little, author info, and it actually says that that the Washington Post has named him one of America's most influential or most popular science teachers. He's not a science teacher, but okay.
Have you watched his TikTok? He is reading science.
SciShow and Crash Course, he does teach science. I mean, that's what he's doing.
But it's just funny, yes.
Yeah, and he had this random spin-off of Vlog Brothers where he taught about ugly animals. It's very funny. He just picked ugly animals and taught about him. But no, I agree with you. I definitely feel like first-time writer, there's some parts that the tense changes, and I don't know if part of that was intentional, where it's sort of a stream of consciousness novel where it's her thoughts. But I definitely think that the editor needed to have a little bit heavier hand in certain areas. April May is probably the worst character name ever. I am surprised that so many people that you hate it, because I thought it was just a personal thing, because I hate when people April and my name is April and they do all that stuff with my name.
I'm going to offend some people here. It's like when you name your kids matching names.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Terry, Mary, and Carrie. And I'm Larry, and my wife is something that matches.
Sherry.
No, Sherry. Barry. No. And our last name is Barry, and we love to live on.
Yeah. It's terrible. And her name is not April May. Her name is not first name April, middle name May. Her last name is May, and her parents consciously made the choice to name her April.
Why? Okay, if she was born on midnight between the end of April and the beginning of May, May 1st, April 31st.
No, that's not even a good excuse.
Nope. I get that, but we're getting in semantics here.
No, I think that what he did with it, her Twitter handle is April Maybe Not, and I thought that's clever.
I'm wondering if that came first.
Yeah, I kind of wonder that too.
And he was
like, how can I make that? Yeah.
Funny, yeah.
So I like the book overall, but I really
he filled a lot of cliches too. Okay.
Oh yeah, it tries too hard to get to his point.
New York City alone is a cliche in writing.
Right.
A farm kid moving to New York. Right. Fucking cliche.
Artists living in New York in various stages of their art career, cliche. A younger millennial / almost Gen Zer becoming obsessed with social media. Yeah, it's cliche. Very cliche.
There's a handful of cliches in here that
annoy me. Yeah.
Yeah. But it works.
I like the story.
I like the book, and I can see the ratings. I can see why it did well. You're getting a younger audience when you read this, but I
think part of the reason it did well is because the name Hank Green. Like, I don't know that a first-time author who is not Hank Green is selling a gazillion copies of an absolutely remarkable thing. Right.
Of this book.
Yeah. And they're not getting
I don't think if I wrote that book, I could get in the door anywhere.
Right. And they're not getting the editors and the publishers, and they're definitely not getting the back
reviews.
of
the
back reviews. Yeah, they're not getting that.
Now, don't get it twisted. We enjoyed this book.
Oh yeah,
immensely.
Right.
What we're saying is, I'm speaking for you, April, because that's what I do now, because we're a duo. What we're saying is Sally on the street is not getting the time of day Hank motherfucking Green is getting.
Right.
Bottom line.
Right. 100%. And there is some privilege that comes with his position, and his existing notoriety. And I 100% think his brother helped him, because on page 238, and I flagged this because damn. So you haven't read all of John Green's books, have you?
No.
Okay, so I have. So one of his books is An Abundance of Catherines.
I haven't read that.
And there's an overarching story in that novel about the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Which was the start of World War I. And that's in this book. So don't tell me his brother wasn't involved.
I wonder. Okay, conspiracy theory time. What if John wrote this with notes from Hank and they just put Hank's name on it to get a different audience?
I don't think that's what happened. John, when he was publicizing the book on on their YouTube channel, he was saying that it was more of a book in any way than his books were books, which I was like, that's nonsense. I think probably if we were inside the brother duo, we would find out that that John dared him to include that.
Oh, I don't doubt this for it. It is. I know him as a social media personality. I know him from Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Right. I know him as social media personality.
Right.
It feels very much a Hank thing to be like, I dare you to write a novel. And he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to do it.
Right.
You know what? Watch me, big brother. Watch me.
Right. But, so I'm glad you liked it. It's one I wanted to cover on the pod because I liked it, but only after a second reading. My biggest issue with this book, besides the name, is that it tries too hard to make the point. This is not, and I'm going to give that this is not a book about space alien robots and what have you. It is specifically about social media, how influencers are made, and I mean literally made. They are their own characters, and how the media divides us.
Completely.
And I
feel like it's
there's also a real analogy to the way that that immigration is handled in this country as well.
Well, and I feel like it also is a comment on how there's extremists on both sides, right? How people take, because April May has people that are diehards for her, right? And then friggin' what the hell's his name? The guy with
Peter Petchwicki or
PP, whatever. PP. No. Anyways, moving on. I'm a child. You know this. He's saying one thing, and then they're taking that and amplifying it. And then she's saying one thing and taking it and amplifying it. I feel like there is a big comment on that as well, about how people take ideas and then run with it, and it's still your idea, and you're to blame now for it. It's like when Marilyn Manson got blamed for school shootings back in the day, right? We can't hold the creator of an idea at fault for the way somebody interprets it.
But that's really interesting that you say that, because that is exactly what happens right now. And I'm going to use Donald Trump as an example. So I am not a fan of Donald Trump. We've already established that I am a conservative, but I am not a fan of Donald Trump. However, a lot of people on the liberal side blame him for the current climate, the current race climate. Okay? Because he says some pretty inappropriate things, which is one of the reasons that I'm not a fan of his.
He's old.
But you're saying you can't hold one person responsible, and yet, sorry to be political, but that is what your side of the aisle keeps trying to do.
Right. But again, just because I'm a part of that aisle does not mean that's my opinion.
I agree. So,
anyways, moving on before we get hyper political.
We're going to come back to that because I actually do have a question in here about that later. So we're going to take a pause from the political and come back to it. I don't think we can talk about this book and not get a little political because it's set
There's
up
a lot of politics in here.
Right, exactly. All right, so what do you think about the character of April May? Is she more human or is she a caricature by the end of the book?
I feel like I think she's always been lost. She has a solid foundation.
Also a cliche, by the way.
Right. She has a solid foundation. Seems like she's always been searching. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason the Carls picked her. Carl's with the C, by the way, not Carl with a K.
Carl's with a C.
Carl's with the C. Sorry. Matt is going to laugh when he hears that on the pod leader.
You've told me about it, so it's funny.
Carl with the C saw a struggling person.
Yeah.
A person that was, this is just my opinion, of course, a person who was lost in their own world and was like, maybe I can help her find herself, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe, I think, part of this public persona is who April really is.
I mean, I don't disagree that part of it might be her, but like, I feel like I have public personas that are not me. I feel like on our podcast, like I'm very much myself. I'm doing this with you, who's been my best friend for so long that like, yes, kisses. Like we know each other so completely. So I feel like a lot of times when I'm doing this, it's just having a conversation with you. Like I forget that we're doing this for other people to listen to, which is I probably should consider that. But
you know what? I think that's what makes it more authentic is you and I are being real.
But like, I run a YouTube channel that's storytime videos.
Oh, that is completely different.
And I am Miss April. And Miss April has been a character. She's been a character for a long time in my life. She is my storytime children's librarian character.
Which, by the way,
she's not me.
Which, if you haven't seen Miss April, she is fantastic. My nephew loves her.
Oh, thank you.
She does. So sweet. So I'll actually put a link in the bio to Miss April because she is fantastic.
You don't have to do that. Like I'm not trying to cross promote. That's not what it's doing.
I'm cross promoting, so let it go.
Okay, fine. But Miss April she's a character that I like. She's not me. I am an introvert. I am tired after I do story time. I don't really want to be social. I love kids, but like it takes a lot out of me. But Miss April, I mean, she is like riding high all day. Yeah. She wears tutus and knee-high rainbow socks, and she gets on the floor with kids and like talks to them about their favorite dinosaur. And I mean, I love doing those things, but I can only do those things in the confines of Miss April because I get exhausted doing those things.
I get exhausted watching you do those things.
Yeah. So it's like acting for me. Like that's my character. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have to be me. And I sort of feel like that's what April was trying to do in this. Not me, April May was trying to do in this. She and
this
Andy,
is gonna be a super fucking confusing episode.
Fucking confusing. I think she and Andy were trying to build this persona and this brand, and they did. And, you know, because they come from a marketing world, like they were able to do that. They could build this brand. But I feel like at some point that brand and the person kind of crossed too much.
Don't know her pre. right?
We know very little about her before.
Right. We are just getting information as the timeline goes along. So I feel like the April, May, you and I feel like we know is the reason I feel like they're the same person, that they're aspects of her in the public persona, is because that's the only information I have. I don't know who she was as a daughter. I don't know who she is as a friend, a girlfriend, a bestie, you know? Like,
I mean, but would you make the argument that she evolved over this to become something, maybe that she always was, but she evolved?
Oh, for sure.
The fame changed her.
I feel like she was also addicted to the likes.
Oh, for sure. Which I think is a generational thing. So, like, I mean, we've talked about...
I get addicted to the likes. I'm not going to lie. It feels great when...
I've been making Reels videos for us, and I'm super mad that the one I posted today doesn't have as many views as the first one I posted, which got, like, 3,500 views. Like, where are my views? Where are my views, Reels?
I feel like we get a serotonin boost from it. And when
we do.
You are... chemically imbalanced like I am, because I'm fucking broken.
We're neurodivergent, it's fine.
When I am, it creates a serotonin rush, right?
Yeah, it does.
But it's a small serotonin rush, and then you lose it, and you're like, well, fuck me! Get that back! I liked that!
Right. I don't know if you've seen this, and please don't make fun of me for watching it. It was actually very interesting. But have you seen the Paris Hilton documentary that...
No, I want to. Was it good?
It's actually really good. It's on YouTube. They own it. They produced it. I think she made it and produced it, but like sold it to them or whatever. But if you haven't seen it, I actually recommend it. She is two different people too. The Paris Hilton that we see in front of us, that's hot and all of that. That is a persona that she created.
Good for her.
In the early 2000s. And she talks about that and who she really is. And like even that high pitched voice that she has, that's not even her natural voice. Well, she has a lower voice like I do. Right. So there's probably some mental health things going on there with her, but I just think it's interesting because that's an example of somebody who is like an older millennial / Oregon Trail. Yeah. So I don't consider myself to be a millennial. I consider myself to be like that micro generation of Zennials. She's our age.
81.
Yep. She's my age. I'll be 40 this year as well. So I consider myself to be like a Zennial or an Oregon Trail, the micro generation or whatever. But like our generation doesn't get sucked in as much as like the younger millennials. And maybe I'm wrong about that because Hank Green talks about how much he likes the likes. So I don't know.
Right. Constantly.
But I think she's more of a caricature at the end of the book. Like she is now the persona that she created. And whether that was somebody that she could be all along or not, I don't know.
She couldn't be alone.
Right.
Even at the end, she had to continue streaming. Mm-hmm. She couldn't stop striving.
I mean, she's literally dying.
Burning to death.
But didn't want to stop the stream. Right.
I mean, it's...
yeah. I mean, it's really... I mean, I feel like that's
fucked up, man.
But it could happen.
We're all stuck in that... I feel like we're all stuck in that tunnel.
Right. And I feel like right now where, like, especially since...
It's like contradictory that we're sitting here talking about it on a podcast that we're hoping get views and likes so that we can enjoy it. Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll let you guys know if fame changes us. So, like and subscribe, whatever.
What is the thing the kids do? Click the link down below.
Click the link below. Yeah. If you want more content like this great video. Listen, YouTube is on all the time in my house. Like, my sons, like, will literally walk around the house going, Mommy, like and subscribe. I'm like, to what? To what? I already made this. I'm not liking and subscribing. I made it.
How do I unsubscribe?
Right.
That's the question.
Mommy needs like a 10-minute unsubscription. I'm unfollowing you for 10 minutes. All right, so the next question. So this book is about a space alien, but it's more common on social media and being internet famous. Do you think Hank was pulling from personal experience here, or do you think and also do you think the commentary he's making is valid?
Okay, start over. What?
my bad.
That a question. Sorry.
Try that again.
I'm trying to
How about one question at a time, Molly?
Thank you. Have you fucking met me?
What was I thinking? Okay. Do you think that Hank is pulling from personal experience here on the being internet famous and commentary?
I thought you were talking about space aliens. If he's keeping space aliens from this, fucking kudos, Hank Green. Kudos. I mean, it would make sense why he's in Montana. I think so. I think there is a lot of Hank in April May. The chaotic bisexual. I would not be surprised. I've seen pictures from when he was a kid. And a teen.
Listen, he was just an emo kid in Orlando. Okay, they were all like that.
I've seen the Halloween costumes. Hank, it's okay to be bi. I'm just saying.
You heard it here first, folks. Last week she was a fan of incest, and this week it's okay to be bi.
All by myself, thank you very much. I see, but I do, as a person that has watched Hank over the years, I can say at least 10 years of watching him between YouTube, internet fame in general.
Yeah, he's been on, the Vlog Brothers has been on for 10 years.
As long as I've been watching him and John.
They've been on for longer than that. It's just 10 years of Pizza Miss.
Yeah. I feel like, unlike John, who I don't see much of his personality and his characters as much as I do.
Except for Looking for Alaska, because he is 100% Miles.
He is Miles. That's beside the point. But April May has a lot of Hank qualities. And if you want to dispute that, come on the pod. We will do a revisit.
I've tagged him in every single social media post we've done for this episode. So
Same.
What's up with Paylock? I also think we talked about the cliches he falls into. This is another one for me. Like, it wasn't enough for him to just pour himself into the character. He had to pour himself into a character who's a bisexual woman who is very open with her sexuality and basically just wants to screw everybody. Like,
she's attracted to everyone all of a sudden,
right?
And he's talking about
friend, right? And he's talking about her body and like she knows she's attractive, and like to me that was like a lot of cliche stuff. I like that's a pitfall that men writers fall into when they write women.
One moment, please. Dear male writers, hi, my name's Molly. We need to have a talk. Knock it the fuck off!
Knock it the fuck off!
If you have questions about how women behave, act, and perceive in life, you look out your door. There are women in your life. Your mom, your sister, your fucking cousin, your grandmother.
Right.
If not, email me at bookbestiespod@gmail.com. I will fucking answer your questions.
He's married. Like, he's got access to a woman that way, too. But whatever.
Stop it! Sincerely, Molly motherfucking Biggs.
Is that your legal name?
No, it's Molly Joe fucking Biggs. Legally, I'm Molly Joe. That's beside the point. That's a whole other conversation.
The second part of this question is, do you think the commentary he's making on social media and fame that way is valid?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's inside the fame bubble, making an observation and a comment on it. He could sit there and not say a damn thing, but he's sitting there speaking truth. It's probably lonely at the top. I mean, sucks to be you. Boo-hoo, you have money.
He and John also created VidCon, which is one of the things we talked about during the Looking for Alaska episode. So I feel like he's met a lot of influencers, and he's probably seen how that changes them as well.
Right.
Like, it used to be that we would complain that the Kardashians were famous for being famous, and no one could figure out why the fuck they were famous. I still don't understand it. But now there's a lot of people who are famous for being famous.
What the fuck's her name? The TikToker that does the weirdest dance.
There's a lot of them.
Addison Rae is the one that comes to mind.
Okay.
She just did. Okay, I'm gonna go on a rant here. I'm sorry, guys. She just did a reboot of She's All That.
And now it's time for Down the Rabbit Hole with Molly. The special part of the episode where we all indulge in Molly's ADD.
This bitch cannot act. I'm not even like, I watched 30 minutes of it and I said no.
Why did you watch 30 minutes?
Because she's all that. I loved Rachel Lee Cook as a kid. And
movie was horrible. It was disgusting.
It was awful. I rewatched it as an adult. Holy crap, is it nasty?
Yeah, like, but Freddie Prinze Jr. is attractive.
Yeah, and Rachel Lee Cook as well is very attractive. She looks like a little pixie. She's adorable. I love it. Anyways, It's not the point. It's a reboot of a classic. I was really excited.
Yeah.
And they just threw a famous name in there. And she's TikTok famous. So they thought that math would add up. Guess what? 2 + 2 makes 5 in that calculation, not 4.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to the book. Out of Molly's rabbit hole.
No, that's okay. I Laura Cleary is someone that comes to mind for me. She's famous for being famous, but I actually really like her.
I feel like she's the same person she was when she started to
100%. And her book Idiot's pretty good. Maybe we can review that too. It's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I feel like she's probably about the same person. I think she's changed by motherhood, but she's famous for being a YouTuber and an influencer.
And honest about her life. And
her son was just diagnosed with autism. Yeah. Which, so I felt that hard. Oh man.
And and she's handling it pretty honestly.
Yeah. I have to say the autism mom community is a welcoming community. There's always
hard.
Well,
and
yeah,
but fucking need support.
But there's an expression. Line. Yeah, there's an expression. If you meet one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism, because it doesn't present the same in any kid. I mean, even when there are similarities between kids, it's just not the same. But I feel like that community of like autism mom, like we just cling to each other because we need all the same services, and we need to be able to vet that, like, my kid just talked to me for 6 hours straight about Mario Kart. I don't give a fuck. But that is what he has decided to latch on to today. So we're just going to super brain our way through it. So yeah, I mean, but anyway, she's one of those people. She's one of those people that are famous for being famous. Okay. So here's my big question for you. And, we're going to be political here because I think we have to be. All
right, wait. Stretch it out.
So put on your big girl panties, everybody. We're going to do this.
All right, I'm ready. Let's hit it.
The two opposing sides in this book are described as going down party lines.
Right.
I thought it might be interesting to dissect this since we are on opposing party lines.
Okay.
Do you believe this is how the right and the left would behave in this situation if this situation was real?
Yes.
Why or why not?
I do.
Really? Interesting.
There is, I'm not pointing fingers. I want to be clear here. I am going to be talking about different sects of political groups. I am not blaming anyone.
Okay.
I think there are some yeehaw, gun-toting right-wingers that would definitely see a threat and be like, America's number one. We need to protect, America and try to blow it up or whatever, or try to get rid of it. I definitely see that happening. And then I also see the wackos on the left side, the ones that like, the truth is out there, man. The truth is out there, right? And they would be sitting there praying to it. And like, I really think this is very much how this would happen.
I have a different thought on it.
Oh, hit me. I love it. Yes.
So I think it is not necessarily a political agenda. I think it was a difference in the age between April and Peter.
I feel like it wouldn't start as a political agenda, but I feel like it would turn into one.
I mean, it probably would, because every fucking thing does. But when you talk about people that are running scared and things like that, to me, that doesn't feel like what would be happening from the right. I don't think it would be that at all. No. But I do think, I think what the commentary that Hank is trying to make is that people who are politically on the right have some sort of fear of immigrants or people who are other. And I mean, I just don't agree with that. And
not everybody on the right does have that opinion for sure.
But that is one of the
people on the right that do have those opinions.
Yes, but there are people on the left that have those opinions too.
Yeah, because there are assholes everywhere.
Right. And so my thought is more, Peter is, PP is like in his 50s, early 20s. So we fall in the middle of that. And I feel like our generation would be like, what are those things? They're aliens? Oh, that's kind of cool.
Looks like a transformer. Awesome.
Probably should be a little cautious. Maybe we shouldn't like give it uranium. Like maybe we shouldn't do that.
I feel like we'd be at home. Like, our generation's going to be at home watching the YouTube videos.
We're going to be watching information about it, right? Yeah. Where I feel like
we're not going out to seek this. We are not hunting shit down. We are at the stage where we're like, fuck that shit. We've seen enough terror in our lives. We'll just stay here.
Yeah, we'll hang out like a safe distance from it. But I feel like the younger generation, the youths, they would be flocking to it and like, this is so cool. Let's gram this. Like, you know, let's get a TikTok video with Carl. Whereas I think the older crowd would be like, no, anytime that things have been invaded, like that shit's not been good.
Right.
So to me, I don't think it's a political thing. I think it's more of an age thing. And I don't appreciate that Hank made it political. And this is one of the reasons why I prefer the videos that John makes over the videos that Hank makes, because Hank frequently makes videos that are politically charged and he rips on Republicans. And like,
I mean, that's his opinion.
It's his opinion and he's free to have that opinion. But like, I constantly feel like people just do not understand what either side believes. So I've said this, like, I'm more of a libertarian because I'm just like, do what the fuck you want and leave me the fuck alone. Like, that's my thought.
And that's where I stand too. It's just, you and I stand on different sides of that libertarian line.
Right. So, like, when there's a center, like, I'm to the right and you're to the left, but we're very close to the center.
We can high five from our lawn.
Exactly. Whereas there are people that are really on the far right that have some very extreme thoughts that I'm like, I don't think you understand the ideals of the Republican Party, because the ideals that we actually have are just, like, small government.
Right. I don't think you did the reading.
I don't think you studied for this test, boo. You gotta try again. But then you have people, you have people on the left that it's the same thing. They've gone so far to the extreme that now, like, the politics over there aren't making sense either. Right. And I don't think we need a two-party system in this country. I feel like we need to have more than that. But
can we play Monopoly instead? That'd be fun.
Like, circling back to the point of what I brought this up for, my thing is, this is not an issue that would be political. I mean, sure, probably it eventually would.
I think there's one thing.
I think it's a generational issue.
Yeah. That is, you know what? You convinced me. It is a generational issue.
What?
I think first, generationally, we would argue, and then it would become political. I don't think it would, but there is one thing.
And I just want to also say the president who is in office in this book is a Democrat. And so when things get political, when anything happens that gets political, whatever side is not in the White House is the side that's going to be the opposition.
Right.
So, of course, the opposition is going to be against, because the president said this is safe. So now we got to be like, why? It's not safe. You know?
Right.
That's where I think he was going.
I think there's one thing that Hank did not think about when writing an alien into the story.
What's that?
Fucking Fruit Loops. There are people that literally are cuckoo for damn Cocoa Puffs that camp out and go hunting for Area 51 and hunt. You don't think that we're not going to have he did not talk about at all the wackos that instantly are drawn to space alien things, or what are, so they think they're space aliens.
We know they're crazy enough that, like, at the end of the book, when April tells them they all have to go touch gold to the Carl,
but I think
they literally rush armed guards to do it.
But I think that's more April fans and less fans of Carl.
Yeah.
I think we're omitting, like, I mean, yeah, April would definitely have that fan base.
Right.
We're omitting the crazy.
Where's the guy from History Channel that has like the crazy hair and everything is aliens?
Aliens, right?
How were the Mayan temples built? Aliens. How were the pyramids built? Aliens.
I just feel like we're omitting a subset group that would definitely be batshit crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. We do get the other side of that. We get the group that doesn't want anyone to come near them because they don't want to be given the dream.
Right. Which, I mean, we see that now with other things. So
I mean, he did slightly touch on like the culty type people. There were some people that had like started a cult of Carl or something, but it wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a cult of Coral. There was a cult of people starting a compound so they didn't get the dreams.
No, but there was also like people who were talking about Carl being like
Messiah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's really small in there, and maybe that was a choice because he was focusing on April May's story. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway.
Anywho, let's.
I just want to say.
Donkey farts.
Both sides of the aisle spread fear. So
right.
I hate it. I hate it when people say only the left does this or only the right does this. Because the truth is, they both do it.
Right. We're all
They both do it.
We're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
We all point fingers. We all want somebody to blame at the end of the day.
Right. All right. So we've talked about this many times on this podcast, but I'm bringing it back.
Oh, fuck me. What is it?
Is April May a heroine?
Okay, hold on. Let me think about this. While I think about this, I want you to answer me a question.
Should I play circus music?
No. Riddle me this, Batman. No. My question to you is, well, I think about my answer for April May.
Okay.
Why the fuck is there an Arby's in these dreams?
I have a theory that that's just like Hank's favorite restaurant. Or again, John's like, you know what? There should be an Arby's.
Why? And he just says to fuck with them.
Yeah, right.
I think, yes, April is a heroine. She was willing to give her life in pursuit of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
In pursuit of proving that this foreign being was safe. Mm-hmm. She was willing to sacrifice it all. Was some of that self-serving? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yes.
But did she have a pure heart and have good intentions? I think so.
I mean, I'll go with you on that she's a heroine. I can see that. I think there are enough qualities to show that, but I don't think that oh my gosh, I just lost what I was going to say. I don't think any of it was I don't think any
rub
of
it off
was,
on you.
Right. Oh, gosh. I worked this morning. For everyone that's listening, I'm sorry we don't normally record after April's worked, but man, I'm done.
True.
But I don't think that anything she does is without intention of an audience. Right. And I don't think that it was selfless at all. And I also don't think she was doing it with no regard to her own safety. I think part of that was just stupidity of youth. Like, I don't think some 40-year-old's like, I'm going to go out there and maybe I'll get stabbed.
Oh, hell no. I would have saw that alien, took a picture, posted it Instagram and Facebook, and then went my fucking happy ass home.
Right. I wouldn't even have done that. I'd have been watching it from the comforts of my home. I'd have been like, oh, what's happening today?
Right.
And I mean, side note, for all of you fans out there of this book, when I got to the part where the stabbing happens, I knew Molly had just reached it, so I texted her grape jelly, and she texted back, grape jelly. So for all of you fans of this book, that's your secret, like, little happy moment, grape jelly.
Grape jelly.
If you've not read the book, we're not telling you what grape jelly is.
Fucking grape jelly. Also, donkey farts. Can we talk about... I'm not even going to talk about where it comes from, just donkey farts.
Sorry, I just had a bug, so if anyone... Sorry. Molly, I think you have worn off on me. Yeah, donkey farts. That's your other one. All right, so I have one last question, then we can talk about whatever other questions you have. But the ending, though.
Fuck that
this
ending.
book ends on one hell of a cliffhanger. And before I ask my question,
Green. Fuck you.
Before I ask my question, when this book came out, I didn't know there was going to be a sequel. So it was released as like, it's going to be the book. That's it. And so it wasn't until after the book came out and people were reading it that it was like, oh, yeah, so there's going to be a sequel. So, do you think April is alive? And or how do you think her journey continues?
Okay, I think April's alive. Because the fucking...
A beam on fire went through her brain!
The fucking guys, like the Lego guys, disappeared around the same time. And I think they, like...
The Carls?
Yeah. I think they teleported her out, fixed her on their spaceship, and then put her back. But when I was reading that whole chapter, as she's like, the beam's falling down, one quote I absolutely loved in here, and she's on the phone with the 911 guy, and he goes, oh, he mentioned something about the fire, and she goes, my new favorite kind of fire. Like, I thought that was so funny. This chick is like near death, and she's like, my new favorite fire.
I'm not gonna lie, I tagged that and actually thought, well, she's still being April May, even in the end.
What's the line exactly? Can you read it?
Let's see if I can find it.
But she's
Keep
like,
talking.
I think if it is April, it's a reconstructed April from the Carls. I don't think it's the April we know and love. I think it's like a cyborg type situation. She's part Carl, part April now.
Interesting. And do you plan to read the sequel?
Yes, ma'am. As soon as I have some free time. After Yes Please, Poet X, Martian, Instructions to Dancing, Harry Potter Series 1 and 2, Elizabeth and Her Monsters, and City of Girls.
So that 1 week that we're taking viewer or listener questions, that's the week you're going to read it.
I have 3 books that aren't scheduled that I want to read that I haven't. Like, one of my favorite writers just came out with a book this summer, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
Well, just put it on the pod, because that's why we're reading.
You have to read the other books to get to this book.
Well, fuck it then. Okay,
I know.
Fuck it.
Okay, moving on. My new favorite kind of fire.
I'm still trying to find it. I know I'm in the right area.
But so when she's dying and goes into the dream state, I thought they reset her. I really thought, and they put her back in the subway, and she turns around to go back to the office. I was like, oh my fucking God, they've reset it the whole time. Reset it. They reset the whole timeline and sent her back. Like, none of this has just happened. This is just in April's head, and she's going to be put in a freaking insane asylum because nobody's going to believe her. But I was wrong.
That's also a good guess.
Because Hank reads for Andy in chapter 25.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I haven't listened to the audiobook yet, so...
And I liked the narrator. Her name is Kristen Sear, S-I-E-H, Sire, Sai. Sai. I'm going to say Sai. She was pretty good in the audio. I wouldn't say she's my favorite audiobook narrator, but I didn't hate it. She definitely gave me 23-year-old girl vibes.
Like, I feel like I want to know if he reads Andy's parts in the sequel. Spoiler, Andy has parts in the sequel. A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor.
I'm looking now.
Look, I feel like I'm wasting our time because I cannot fucking find it.
Okay, so,
But yes, my new favorite kind of fire is basically what she says. That's all my questions. So what questions do you have?
Do you think April uses sex as a coping mechanism?
No, 100%.
Like, I feel like, I don't know.
I'm mad at her for sleeping with Miranda. There's so many reasons why that was a bad idea. Number one, Miranda was obviously infatuated with the character of April May.
Whoa, this is a full cast reading for the second book. And he's not in it.
Okay, well, it does alternate narrators like several times. Like every other chapter is a different narrator. Okay. But I kind of just want to hear him read that last chapter. I may just like crack into your Audible.
Go right ahead.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. That's our new motto. Not sponsored.
Until we are sponsored. What the hell were we just talking about?
I asked if you think April uses sex as a coping mechanism.
So I'm mad at her for sleeping with Miranda because Miranda obviously is infatuated with April May, the character. Right. Maya is still very much in love with her, and April is still in love with Maya. Whatever. Fuck that. I don't care that you say you've never loved her and that she's been your roommate the whole time. Fuck you. You love that girl.
Right.
And two...
Just because you don't know how to process feelings does not... Go to therapy. Don't fucking fuck your friend.
Right. And then Andy, who we find out at the beginning of the book is, like, in love with April, he pulls away from her because he starts having feelings for Miranda. And, like, she fucked that shit up, too. Like, you ruined it for him. And also...
Miranda's going to keep waiting.
Right. It was just bad. It was bad for business, too. Like, you all own a business together. Like, this is bad.
I was really surprised she didn't sleep with Robin. I saw restraint there, which was surprising.
I'm not, because I think Robin kept his distance, and I don't
on purpose, because he could have lived with her in that 2-bedroom.
But he kept it on purpose because of what he knew about the agent, about Jennifer.
Right. Which I mean, I'm with her. I was mad at Robin too. He definitely kept that secret from her, and he worked for her, and he was supposed to be honest with her.
Right.
And
he put her in a situation that was uncomfortable for her. And, I mean, also, Peter's fans were essentially trying to kill her. So, yeah, it was bad for business all around. Yeah. What would you have done? This wasn't one of my questions, so I just thought of it. Like, what would you do if you had, like, the dream? Like, do you think you would be, like, a dreamer? Or do you think you'd be like, fuck that shit, I'm getting rest?
Well, I don't sleep.
Yeah, but in the dream you do. Like, you get restful sleep even though you're solving puzzles.
It's hard for me to fall asleep. Like, it is
for me too. That's why
I struggle with sleep. If I actually... First, I would be pissed that somebody infected me because I'm immunocompromised and we don't know what these dreams freaking come along with.
Yeah.
Two, I would definitely... I don't like unsolved puzzles, so I would be trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And I would also be pissed that Arby's didn't have the curly fries. So, there's that.
I think I would just be enjoying
Damn the fact you, Hank Green.
I think I would just be enjoying the fact that I was actually getting restful sleep because people were getting more restful sleep than what they normally did in the dream. And, like, that sounds wonderful to me.
Right.
But, you know, you just sort of kind of proved my point, by the way.
What?
You said you'd be worried about what it would do to you because...
Well, I think about my health 24/7.
Right.
Like, but we're not doing trick-or-treating. We haven't traveled to see my mom in 2 years. We don't do the things.
But that's my point. It's a generational thing.
Right. But it's not even generational. It's, like, we don't do the things, right?
I know you don't.
With COVID, we stay here. We don't trick or treat because the girls both have shit lungs and, like...
Right. I know.
So I know. It's more about health and not about, like...
Yeah.
If I was fucking hunky-dory and the girls were fine and life was all good, I would be all about those dreams and I wouldn't be thinking about the repercussions. Right?
Well, there didn't seem to be any.
That we know of. We didn't get long-term studies.
All right. I think we need to stop this conversation because I am going to go on a tangent that is not going to be conducive to this podcast.
And we love our fans. So, moving on. So next week is Yes Please.
Yeah. So, that one's in my bedroom because I've got it next to my nightstand. But I just before we talk about Yes Please. This is the sequel, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. Gorgeous cover again, and love the names. And so I encourage you, if you haven't read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, and now we've enticed you to want to read it, just pick up A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor at the same time.
You're just going to want to just knock them out.
You're not going to want to wait. Okay, so sorry. So next week, Yes Please, by Amy Poehler. And
oh my God, this book is heavy.
And Molly will be hosting.
I will. Which, I mean, I think it's fitting that Amy Poehler and I are going to be
Listen, I am basically Leslie Knope.
You're Leslie Knope, but I'm Amy Poehler.
And after, I can get on board with that. And after, Yes Please, 2 weeks down the road, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Highly recommend the audiobook version of this book. Elizabeth Acevedo actually narrates it. She narrates all of her books. And the way that she reads, like, I just want to be in a warm bath and listen to her voice. And that might sound creepy, but man,
lovely.
It's
I love
caramel deliciousness. Like
it's soothing is what you're telling me.
Yes. And there are some passages in it that are in Spanish or have some Spanish words, and I don't know Spanish, so I like hearing her read them because then I can hear them in the way they're actually supposed to be pronounced.
Nice.
And the audiobook's only 3.5 hours. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. And then after that's The Martian.
And then we wrap out the month with Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. She's one of my favorite YA authors, and this book actually came out this year. And this will be the first time our podcast is doing a book that came out this year. So it's on the podcast because April wants to read it.
Seriously, that's our lives now. And then we start rolling to December where we're doing Harry Potter. Elizabeth and Her Monsters, and City of Girls.
Yeah.
To finish the year.
All right, so follow us on all the things. Keep rating us. Guys, we are so close to being on the charts. Like, we're so close. So please rate us because
hit us up.
Because the algorithm for recommending podcasts, it's very difficult to be a recommended podcast when you are not famous.
Right.
But we are almost there. So keep rating us.
We also will be posting probably in the next couple of weeks a form to Q&A. Ask us our favorite books. Ask us what our favorite color is.
Yeah.
Ask us what mascara we wear. We don't care.
And if you don't ask us questions, then you don't get an episode because that's all we have planned for that week.
I mean, I can find filler. I always can talk.
Molly, don't tell them that. Make them do the work. All right,
they don't want to hear me ramble.
All right, everybody, we've gone over by 6 minutes, so we're going to let you go. But thank you so much again for listening, and we'll see you next week with Yes Please by Amy Poehler, where Molly will host. Bye!
Bye!
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April, not those of anyone else. Today's book was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Your book besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins, editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.